Coming up today, in what would be a serious provocation, North Korea says it's ready to launch a long-range rocket in a matter of weeks to mark a key political anniversary. As officials from South Korea, China and Japan meet to lay the groundwork for a possible trilateral summit later this fall, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says he wants to hold one-on-one talks with President Park Geun-hye if the summit goes ahead. Plus, Korea's middle class is feeling the squeeze as the lump sum deposit, or Jeonsae, of more than half of the apartments in Seoul now exceeds 350 million won. That's almost $300,000. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Tuesday, the 15th of September. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broome. Our top story this afternoon. North Korea has given its strongest indication yet that it will launch a rocket next month to coincide with a key anniversary. The United States says any launch would be in clear violation of UN Security Council resolutions. Han Da-eun starts us off.
The world will see a North Korean rocket fly high in the future at a time and place of our choosing. That's what the head of North Korea's aerospace agency told a state-run Korean Central News Agency late Monday, adding that the country is almost ready to launch a long-range rocket. Saying that the regime is in the final stages of setting up its new satellite system, the chief went on to justify the plan, saying it's for space development purposes. North Korea's rocket launches are widely believed to be a cover for missile tests. Many analysts have been predicting the reclusive regime will carry out a launch in October to mark the 70th anniversary of the founding of its ruling Workers' Party. But this is the first time the North has publicly acknowledged the possibility. The move is likely to have a negative impact on relations between the two Koreas, just as they have begun to warm up again. And there are fears it could block a series of planned inter-Korean talks and family reunions. In response, the South Korean government says it's keeping a close eye on North Korea's military activities. The U.S. says it's reluctant to jump to conclusions, and a diplomatic source in Washington told Seoul-based Yonhap News that based on recent satellite imagery, there are no clear signs yet of launch preparations at the North launch tower on its northwestern coast. The U.S. State Department, however, made it clear that there will be consequences if Pyongyang forges ahead with the launch.
So any satellite launch using ballistic missile technology would be a clear violation of those resolutions.
Experts in South Korea mostly agree that the planned round of high-level inter-Korean talks should take place as soon as possible to bar North Korea from going through with the launch. Han Da-eun, Arirang News.
Now, with the planned reunions of families separated by the Korean War exactly 5 weeks away now, the two Koreas are edging closer to settling on the lucky families that'll have the chance to see each other again. The Koreas will exchange the list of candidates at the border village of Panmunjom within the next half an hour or so. South Korea's list will have the names of 250 people, while the North's list will contain the names of 200 people. The South's list is larger as it includes 50 family members of South Koreans held as prisoners of war or abducted by the North. Now, both sides are expected to exchange their final lists of 100 participants from each side on October 8th. The family members will be reunited at North Korea's Mount Kumgang Resort from October 20th to the 26th. Seoul is hosting a working-level meeting today to arrange a possible trilateral summit with China and Japan this fall. The Foreign Ministry's Northeast Asian Affairs Bureau Deputy Director General Jung Byung-won will meet with his counterparts from China and Japan behind closed doors this afternoon to make preparations for the summit. The three-way working-level meeting is the first since President Park Geun-hye and her Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping recently agreed to hold a trilateral meeting with Japan in late October or early November. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has expressed his willingness to hold a bilateral summit with President Park on the sidelines if and when the summit is realized. Abe said on Monday that the meeting should be held without preconditions as difficult issues exist between Japan and its neighbors. Now, the average lump sum rental deposit on an apartment in Seoul is continuing to rise at a rapid pace. And this is putting the squeeze on tenants who are forced to borrow more and more every couple of years. For a closer look at the numbers, Kim Min-ji reports.
Half of apartments on a 2-year lease in Seoul are valued in nearly $300,000. That's up 20% compared to a year ago. This is the median value calculated by taking the middle value of all apartments rather than the average, which would push up the prices even further on the back of high-end premium housing. The affluent Gangnam district in southern Seoul had the highest prices at a median of $346,000, up more than 20% from a year ago. Prices in the northern half of Seoul saw a hike of 15% on year. Prices of Jeonsae, a unique rental system where the tenant gives the homeowner a lump sum of money, which is returned after the lease expires, have been rising fast since 2009. Jeonsae rates now account for about 70% of the actual value of the property. The surge in Jeonsae prices comes because more homeowners prefer monthly rentals instead of the usual 2-year contract due to low interest rates on bank deposits. And perhaps reflective of the high prices, Koreans seem to be borrowing more. According to the Bank of International Settlements, the ratio of Korea's household debt to GDP was the highest among key emerging countries last year. The country's household debt accounted for 84% of its GDP, much higher than the average of 30% for 14 emerging economies. Korea's figure has added 12 percentage points since 2009, while emerging economies saw a rise of 10 percentage points on average over the same period. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Now, foreign investors were net sellers of Korean stocks for the 3rd consecutive month in August. The Financial Supervisory Service says offshore investors sold a net $3.34 billion worth of local stocks last month, the highest sell-off since June 2013. Stock ownership by foreigners totaled $343 billion at the end of August, accounting for 28.4% of the total market capitalization. This is down 0.5 percentage point from the previous month and marks a 6-year low. By nation, investors from Britain topped the sellers list, followed by those from Luxembourg and Ireland. The financial watchdog says the US Federal Reserve's key interest rate meeting later this week is likely to determine whether the foreign selling run will continue. More than half of the smartphones to be released next year will be loaded with NFC technology to support mobile payment systems. According to a report by industry tracker Strategy Analytics, over 52% of the new phones in 2015 will come equipped with the technology, and the figure is expected to surpass 70% by 2020. Nearly 40% of the phones released this year support this technology. The near-field communication system is the key technology behind mobile payment services such as Apple Pay and Google's Android Pay. Samsung Pay supports both NFC and magnetic secure transmission technology, which does not require a separate in-store NFC payment device. But market watchers do say the latest estimate will make the Samsung payment system less attractive, while Android Pay is expected to gain ground. People in Korea visit the doctor more often than those in any other OECD member nation. They also tend to stay in hospital longer as well. For more on this trend in Korean healthcare, Son Jung-in reports.
People in Korea went to the doctor 14.6 times on average in 2013. According to OECD data reported by the Health Ministry on Tuesday, the figure is the highest in the OECD and more than double the average of 6.7. People in Japan had the second highest number of doctor visits at 12.9, followed by Hungary, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Germany. The lowest numbers were recorded in Finland, Mexico, and Sweden. Koreans also had longer hospital stays than people in most other OECD nations. The length of a typical hospital stay for someone in Korea is 16.5 days, 9.2 days more than the OECD average. Turkey reported the shortest stays at 3.9 days. The data also revealed some contrasts between Korea and other nations in terms of facilities and equipment. The number of hospital beds per capita has decreased slightly over the past decade in most OECD countries. In Korea, the figure has risen steadily, and in 2013, the country had the second highest number of hospital beds following Japan, with 11 beds per 1,000 people. Korean hospitals also have an abundance of high-tech medical equipment. There are around 25 MRI scanners and 38 units of CTs available per million people, the fourth and sixth highest numbers in the OECD. 손정인, Arirang News.
Now, in a landmark case, Korea's Supreme Court will rule this afternoon on whether a married man who had an affair can file for divorce. The man asking for the divorce in this case had an affair and a child with another woman and raised the child with the woman for 15 years while still married. Under the current law, the spouse who commits an offence such as assault or adultery cannot file for divorce. However, following a ruling by the Constitutional Court last February that adultery is no longer a criminal offence, the question in this case is whether the court will accept the man's petition for a divorce in recognition that the marriage is already broken. Smokers will be banned from lighting up within 10 metres of Seoul subway exits from next April. Those caught violating the new rules will be hit with a fine of 100,000 won. That's roughly $85. Smoking will also be banned on the sidewalks of 5 major roads in the Korean capital. They include Sejong-dero, Gangnam-dero and Yeongdong-dero. The Seoul Metropolitan Government says the new regulations are part of ongoing efforts to tackle second-hand smoke pollution. In recent years, Korean automakers have been launching a series of compact SUVs that run on diesel. And the competition is fierce, especially among 3 local car makers, SsangYong Motor, GM Korea and Renault Samsung Motors. For a peek at what's in store for local drivers this year, here's our Won Ji-yeon.
This is a QM3 from Renault Samsung Motors. It's been dominating Korea's small SUV market since its debut in late 2013, thanks to its iconic design, affordable price, and outstanding fuel economy. In fact, the QM3 runs on diesel at about 18 kilometers a liter, making it the most fuel-efficient model in the crossover segment. So it comes as no surprise that the QM3 has remained the company's steady seller for the past few years, with over 2,000 units sold every month. But this year, Korea's 4th largest automaker, SsangYong Motor, launched the diesel version of its popular Tivoli line, quickly proving itself as a force to be reckoned with. The Tivoli diesel enticed consumers with its price tag that begins at around just $18,000. As a result, more than 4,000 Tivolis were sold in just over a month after its release in July. Last but not least, GM Korea has also joined the competition by launching the diesel line of its Chevrolet Trax in August. GM officials say the new Trax offers better safety and a much quieter ride since it's equipped with an Opel engine that reduces noise and vibration.
This product will offer the best performance in torque, fuel economy, and on top of that, state-of-the-art safety for our customers.
It looks like the battle of the compact SUVs will ultimately come down to people's choice between fuel economy, design, or safety. Won Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Now, more and more people are opting to share resources like cars and even their homes instead of actually buying them outright. And that concept is expanding to even include working space. Kim Ji-yeon reports.
Gone are the days of traditional office cubicles. Now instead, wide tables with open seats are becoming the norm. This is an office space provided by a startup company called Idea Factory, located in Seoul's bustling Gangnam district. It's one of the growing number of companies that aims to lend an ideal working space for startups. Choi Yoon-jung, a contents developer for an education agency who's been using the co-working space for more than 9 months now, says the place has a unique working culture of its own.
One of the best things about this place is that there are a lot of content developers who work here from a variety of fields. Having the opportunity to mingle with them freely helps when trying to come up with an idea or quickly finding someone to get a job done.
And for those who want a more secluded space, there is an alternative called Rope that recently opened up in downtown Seoul. And if your business requires frequent meetings with clients but is unable to afford the cost of a prime office, kosher offices like this have popped up in recent years that can help make a very good first impression.
We wanted to create a space that's easy on the eyes. Our target customers are freelancers, including designers, musicians, and those in the IT business that need a decent place to meet face-to-face with their clients.
These co-working spaces aim to cater to the different needs of freelancers and startups and their varying tastes. Private rooms at Rope that can accommodate up to 2 people cost $1,000 a month, while using a communal space at Idea Factory starts at $7 a day. Kim Jeon, Arirang News.
Well, those are stories we've been following on this Tuesday afternoon here in Seoul. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out our website, arirang.com/news, and our smartphone application. Just search for Arirang TV in the usual places. Have a great day. Goodbye.